And talk about Democrats with radio talk show host Leslie Marshall joining us now. And Leslie, everybody's pointing to the Pennsylvania race in terms of this dichotomy we were just talking about, where Arlen Specter, even though he's a recent convert to the Democratic Party, has the support of the president, has the support of the vice president, neither of whom were campaigning for him, either because they didn't want to be seen with him or he didn't want to be seen with them. Which one is that, first of all, before we start talking about Joe Sestak?
Well, I don't really know, David, as far as his deal with the president and why he's liked or not. I think the reason he's liked is he came over to our side and our way of thinking. And Monica, if you and I agree in this show, as we did last time we were together on David's show, I'm going to have to bring you over to the Democratic side.
Well, good luck trying.
But I think this speaks more to not party for Arlen Specter, but honestly, I do agree with Monica, left or right, and I don't believe this is Tea Party. I believe right now people are just saying, we want some fresh faces, left and right, and we're certainly seeing that, especially since this isn't a huge election and we don't have
Leslie,
huge
why
turnout
is
in
it,
many
Leslie,
of the states.
tell me, explain who it is that has more to lose by being seen with the other. Is the president afraid that he's the albatross around Arlen Specter's neck, or is Arlen Specter afraid that the president is getting that? I mean, why don't they want to be seen together?
I would imagine that if you ask Arlen Specter, he feels the president is his albatross.
So the president is the bigger weight.
No. If you ask the president, he might say
I'm
that
asking you,
Arlen
Leslie,
Specter
who's
is
the
his
bigger weight?
albatross.
Who is the bigger albatross here?
Right now, I think right now, this very second, David, Arlen Specter is more of an albatross to the president than the other way around.
Interesting. And is that because Joe Sestak represents a new, fresh face for the Democratic Party?
Yes, and not only that, he's a Democrat. I think a lot of people are very frustrated with people changing their minds on issues and people changing parties.
Well, why doesn't the president then? We were talking to Monica about Newt Gingrich not endorsing Rand Paul and opening his arms to the new fresh face. Why isn't the president doing it? Why doesn't the president say, hey, look, Sestak is somebody new, he's somebody fresh. Frankly, Arlen Specter's new to the game as a Democrat, so I'm putting my money on Sestak.
Well, come on, David. That's a tough position to be in because,
it's not tough.
you know,
Look,
he wants it. We want a Democrat to win. I want a Democrat
on.
to win in Pennsylvania.
The president spent years going against Arlen Specter, saying that he represented the old way and everything. So it's a relatively new position for the president to endorse Arlen Specter.
I agree, but when you look at the president's poll numbers, which aren't as good or as strong as they could be or should be, and that he wants to help, not hurt, the Democratic Party from now and especially in November, I think he's doing the right thing. I think being non-committal sometimes is the right thing to do, even in the position of the presidency.
Ladies, if you could stay with us for a second, we want to bring in now on the phone Kentucky Senate primary candidate Rand Paul. Dr. Paul.
After it became public.
But Leslie, don't you think that there are some of those issues that both Democrats and Republicans could agree on?
Yes, and David, you just hit the nail on the head. This isn't just about government spending. This isn't just about the old boys club on both the left and the right, red or blue. This is about America looking at a bunch of folks, both Democrat and Republican, that can't work together. And they feel that the fresh blood not only will have fresh ideas, but will be able to reach across the party aisle and will have bipartisan support and get things done. Scott Brown is an example of that from Massachusetts.
Good stuff. Leslie Marshall, Monica Crowley, and Dr. Rand Paul, thank you, folks. Now, 59% of the votes are going to Dr. Rand Paul. A real interesting race. Here to wrap up today's events, we welcome back our panel, Doug Schoen, Leslie Marshall, and Monica Crowley.
Now Kentucky.
And Leslie, I got to switch to Pennsylvania for a second. You're a Democratic analyst. Polls close there in just about 10 minutes. Do you think that what we've seen in Kentucky will be repeated in Pennsylvania, and how?
Well, you know, some of my party aren't going to be happy with me about this, but I was never a big fan of the whole single bullet theory. So, you know, I don't mind some fresh blood. At the end of the day, yes, this is a primary, but what happens in November is essential to me and to my party and to the House and to the Senate. So what is going to happen in Pennsylvania? I'm not sure if Senator Specter will remain a senator, and I'm honestly not crying.
Interesting. Well,
of politicians.
Leslie, do you think there's any way that Joe Sestak can pick up some Tea Party support, even though he favored the health care bill and favored one of the bailouts?
Yes, because quite frankly, people on both the left and the right, favored the bailouts. I didn't. Economy is starting to turn the corner. We have to look at the composite of people, not just in the Tea Party, but that are coming out for this election. You're looking at white, blue-collar voters. They're the people that have been affected in this country the most when it comes to jobs, that four-letter word that we desperately need in America. So when you talk about people from the left being able to attract the Tea Party, David, what I was always told by the Tea Party is that they're nonpartisan. And if that's true, and they want to be true to their word, then they need to back people and the people's platform, not a party's platform, and that includes both Democrats and Republicans.
Wow. So we are going to see a South go Republican, or the end of the Blue Dog Democrats, Leslie.
I don't think so. Come on, you're talking about right now. What are we looking at? We're looking at a new Republican bumping out an old Republican in the majority of the races. We're really going to have to see what happens in November, and I certainly know I'll be back to eat my words. But I'm not planning on losing my House. I'm not planning on losing my Senate. And the bottom line is, does the Tea Party have some influence? Yes, but this is not
folks,
overwhelming.
I'm sorry.